Your lights work, yeah. Guess when you, I don't really like lights. I'm always fine. I would be fine with it. Especially where I'm
They could do that. They do some pretty violent. Light up here. Maybe we can ask. Good idea.
just voice mode. See, state law requires you to do like an election. State law requires voice mode. Now, my mom, but it's not a big deal.
Doing your thing.
Good. Greg, your wife got my truck. They pick up the key and Charlene didn't know about it. The key is there.
Well, y'all might need it.
Okay.
I called a work order yesterday. I don't know if they. Well, last week we did. Just be careful what you say.
You cannot get anybody to work. You need help. We heard the young man about that. Oh, yeah. I got to figure out they have to do a little editing stuff. I got to play some else and fix the fuss. This is back from Christmas. Yeah, we're a couple minutes out. That y'all can really hurt 5 months. Oh, God. You can't hire anybody else. Especially skilled. Well, I'd like to hire a couple young people who want to learn a trade. And you can't get that. You gotta do a better job. It's that. Well, they're doing much better than it was in the past. We sure did. 20, 30 years. We were telling kids, I mean, when I was coming here, people would be at home. They didn't tell you this, but they insinuated that you were just
Now we are in the desperate.
and now we're this.
I didn't get it last week or this week. I know I said I wanted to get electronic, but I didn't get electronic.
So you're not getting these packets?
Not I got like the actual.
We need to.
I don't care. We can do it after hour. I can go back paper. It doesn't matter.
So you don't have.
So you got a. I didn't even get. Where? I didn't get one.
You don't have 3 folders?
I didn't get one last week. Not a work session. But she
I'll get the care.
Now I don't. If she wants to send it electronically, that's fine. But I just didn't. I'm not getting it either way. Sonny's out.
But everything that's in there.
Yeah, I'm basically. I'm pretty sure I got the rest of it. Yeah, I've seen most of it.
Well, and I've handed this over. And then a lot of times we don't finalize it until Tuesday.
Sure.
So as soon as we get it finalized, I need to tell
I hear all this other stuff.
And I can easily
I promise. This is the only piece.
Well, just keep pestering us until we get it right. I don't take responsibility.
I don't care how it's done.
Actually, I'll do it. I'll share it. You do Google Suite.
Or a Microsoft person. Yeah,
Because if I share this is a living document. If I share the folder with you, you can go. So like I already have one sorted for next meeting, and you can go in there and look at it. Now it changes as things come in.
I'm not stuck on one. However, it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna go with the flow.
Good. something to do with his daughter at 5:30. I think senior cheerleader. All right, I've got 5 o'clock. So I will call this work session of the Enterprise City Council to order. Let the record show that all council members except for Sonia are present. She apologizes. She was under the weather. Called me and the mayor this afternoon, let us know that. So I will update her on what she misses. But we've got a full agenda, so we'll move right in. So I think all of y'all should be in receipt of the email traffic on the library board appointment. Is everybody at least?
Yes.
So library board members that are rotating off have requested that we go ahead and make those appointments ahead of when we planned on doing it. So I actually went back and looked at our schedule, and I think we can easily just shove all of those forward. If everybody's agreeable, what we'll do is we'll just take the planned appointments that we were going to do in April, do those now or at our next meeting, and shove everything forward, and that'll stay on the library board schedule, and it'll accommodate. I spoke with Maggie about that, and I think that'll be the simplest thing. So spoke with Sonia. What did I do with those? Sonia, it was me and Sonia were up for the nominations. She wanted to introduce Carol Drellinger. Did I say that right, Scotty? Drellinger.
Carol Dreilinger.
Okay, and I was going to put Carolyn McInnes up, and we can, if everybody's agreeable, we will get that on the agenda for the first meeting in June for those appointments. Everybody good with that?
Good. Sounds good.
You good with that, Beverly? All right. So that was easy. We will move along to the Christmas parade. I don't think there's a lot to discuss here. I think all of y'all got the correspondence from Aaron Grantham. They have submitted an amended request. Everybody up to speed on that? They've submitted an amended request, moving that back to the original or to the traditional date of the first Tuesday after Thanksgiving. So we've got that in our packets. We'll consider that night. Any discussion needed on that? All right. In a related and unrelated matter, we've got 2 issues with downtown parking that we wanted to discuss tonight. Did everybody get the letter from the Downtown Enterprise Business Association?
Yes.
Yes.
So in summary, they are asking that we create some sort of city ordinance to create a temporary no parking zone anywhere the city of Enterprise. It says anywhere, so I guess he's saying anytime the city of Enterprise creates a special event street closure. We would suggest the no parking zone is created 15 minutes prior to street closure. However, we would defer that time decision to the leadership of the Enterprise Police Department and their judgment. We would request the vehicles be towed outside the street closure area. So what?
I think we need for police chief to address that.
Yeah.
This being a state highway, that's hard to.
So what I think we should do is kick this back to staff, downtown, our Main Street staff, tourism, and Chief Moore, City Administrator Tolos, to bring us back a recommendation, or that could be we don't recommend this. I mean, is everybody just okay with kicking this to them and letting them look into this?
Yes.
I'm good with it.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Jonathan also has. Chief Moore, are you even in the loop on this at all? Okay. Okay. All right. So I'll just. I mean, I assume y'all are not prepared to give us a recommendation, or.
We can recommend it, but I'd like to talk.
Okay. Well, then we'll put it on a future. I don't think there's any urgency on this. We'll put it on a future work session.
right, Jonathan, you've got another downtown parking issue.
So, so I know that that has been a topic of concern for your constituents as well as the council and mayor. One of the things that we have talked about prior in a real estate discussion in executive session was addressing downtown parking. We have on the agenda tonight potential to address some of that parking through a lease agreement with a property owner in downtown. I have a map that city engineer prepared that addresses a parking area that would accommodate 77 vehicles. So that's what you have in front of you, and I'll let Barry Mott maybe go over kind of the budget, how we got there, what the design looks like. There's also, I think, in your packets, a potential lease agreement. I know you've seen it before, but you know it's stated in there some of the things that we would need to provide, which are the ingress and egress points along each street that are specified in there. And the lease agreement for your, so you can remember, it was like basically $1 a year, and then the city would be reimbursed should the property owner decide they want to do something with the property for a prorated amount. So if it costs, over a 15-year lease, $150,000, it would be amortized $10,000 a year in deduction. So if in year one they built something on the property, they would reimburse the city $140,000. So with that, I'll turn it over to Barry Mott.
Thank you, guys. You got the sketch in front of you. We pulled the base maps basically from our GIS 911 to look at it, so you can see some of the parcels that are there. That's not a survey by any means, but that's something to basically start working off of. The lease agreement, as we got it, required that we have 2 access points off of Lease Street, as well as 2 access points off of Easy Street, and then 1 off of South Edward Street. So this was a first attempt at me, at least, to do a 2D sketch about what would it look like, what could it look like, and how much room do we have to play with. So that is just one. I did 2 or 3 different iterations. This is the one that I kept coming back to. We can get about 77 parking spaces as is shown, so a pretty substantial lot that's there. We when I drew it off, I did 2 areas on the end, so we had 2 areas for above ground elevated lighting for security for the parking lot, as well as on the back side of Yancey Parker's, we've got that mural that will be going on. So with that pole there, we can put light back on the mural to light that up as well. I've got a couple areas we've been talking to other city staff about doing some green space, planted areas in those islands around it so that we can green that area up. It won't just be one big parking lot, asphalt parking lot. But remember that Lee Street is a state highway. So anything that we do as far as ingress and egress, driveway turnouts, that kind of stuff, has still got to be reviewed by AlDOT and approved. So this is just a first sketch for us to see if we were to go forward with this project, how many parking places will we come up with. I also took this and I went and did some rough calculations for cost. What I was looking at doing was using our in-house staff to basically do the demo on the site, bring up the concrete that we've got, get rid of that, rough grade the site, and then we've got another mechanism that we can use to get asphalt put down. So I've got a budget item about $200,000 to do this parking lot. I think we can bring it in under that. And once we get a final design, I'll give you a real estimate. But just based on the numbers we've got now, we're looking at about $200,000 worth of investment or less to get this parking lot done.
What's the requirement for disabled parking, handicap parking? I can't remember from the ADA for how many spots per.
There's a number of spots per, and one thing we were looking at, if you look in the bottom right, on the corner of Easy Street and St. Edwards, there's 2 there.
Right.
Those are actually sized for handicap parking as well. But I know we're going to have more than that, and we'll need to, it may lose a spot or 2 to do that. But one of the things we're looking at, we have a lot of businesses down there that could probably utilize some handicap places right there. So we want to position those in the right places in the parking lot. But that's something that's a calculation of the number of spots we have as a percentage. So I know we'll probably end up with a handful of handicap parking. But we want to put those in the correct places wherever it makes sense.
Thank
Do
you.
you think these 2 street lights, one at each end, is going to be adequate to light the whole thing?
So, Eugene, one of the things that we'll do is we'll get with a lighting manufacturer, and they'll do an actual calculation based upon the site and tell us based on the lamps we got, we can get a real expensive lamp that'll do it all in one head, but we want to do something that's cost effective. So this is just from previous experience, 2 lights should be enough for that parking lot area. But that's one of the things we'll do when we do the design. And we're doing this in-house to a point, but we'll need to get some experts involved with lighting and that kind of stuff before we move forward with the project.
I'm excited about it.
Yes, sir. Any other questions? Thank you.
Everybody comfortable moving forward with this?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else on that, Jonathan? Did we, well, I guess we'll talk about the sidewalks and the project updates, won't we? All right, we'll move forward with our agenda discussion. So turn to your regular meeting agenda. We've got the consent agenda. Any questions on the consent agenda items? We've got some travel requests from Tourism, Main Street, and the Police Department, disposing of some inventory, admin, Fire Department, and Police Department. And we've got the mayor's going to recognize some beauty queens and extra mile awards. Then the Chamber of Commerce permit request that we've already discussed. Moving on to new business, we've got the budget amendments. Jonathan, Leanne, the entire council got a copy of those budget amendments, right? Any questions on those budget amendments? Just cleaning up, getting us caught up here today. Any high points y'all want to touch on? Right.
I think if you'll look in there, it's $2.9 million additional in expenditures. And like Jonathan was saying, that was 1.7 of funding that had already been approved, either again by the prior commission or prior council or throughout the year. So we have first responder pay. There were some capital projects at the airport for the new terminal that went in, and those things somehow were missed in the budgeting process when it went through at the beginning of the year. So those things were already agreed to, but that accounts for 1.7 of the 2.9, I believe, that needed to be adjusted. So.
All right, and still in a budget, in a
yes.
balanced budget
Yes,
situation.
Sir. Yes, sir. So the first 2 pages, I believe, of the summary were the revenues. So those have been updated. We had CARES Act funding that came through, and that was now, and that, of course, was not accounted for at the beginning of the year, and that has now been included in the updated revenues. So.
All right. Any questions for Leanne?
None from me.
All right. Thank you, Leanne. All right, Cdbg application for Greg and Scotty. This is something that we do. Barry, correct me if I'm wrong. We pretty much always have this Cdbg block grant. This is how we fund the demolition of our abandoned structures.
Okay.
So we're just renewing that grant application. So where's Stacy? Is Stacy in here? Have we finished all that? So we're through with the current phases and we're moving. So if we're awarded this, how many more homes do we think?
Right now we've got 23, so I'm hoping
52 additional or 52? Okay. Gotcha. Any questions on that grant? All right, then the lease agreement with Cotter Properties LLC, which is what Jonathan was just telling us about. This is a lease between the city and Cotter Properties for that corner lot, which is, like Jonathan said, their landlord is not charging anything for the rent. We're just going to make the improvements. And then if the landlord chooses to do something between now and 15 years, he'll pay us back a prorated amount. Any questions on that? Everybody up to speed? All right, then introduce a call for a resolution to appoint Chris Davis as the acting interim fire chief. Everybody on board with that?
Mhm.
Authorize the mayor to execute up, which we've got an agenda item here. We'll discuss the fire chief here in a little while. Authorize mayor to execute the memorandum of agreement on Main Street, Alabama. Any questions on that? It's just a renewal. No real substantive changes, right, Cassidy? Yep. Then request permission to seek bids on the sidewalk repair. This was a stated goal of this council. So I assume everybody's on board with moving forward with our sidewalk repairs. I think Jonathan's going to give us an update on that.
Passing out a map of kind of the areas that we walk. Kind of phase one on sidewalk repair.
So what we did is we took the area along College Street and started walking the streets to see what we had. We got a good bit of blocks through there that even that were uneven, where the blocks had been raised, where there were tripping hazards. We've gone through and actually spray painted some of those lines, if you've seen, with yellow caution tape so that people would not trip over them. There's some that were broken and just completely destroyed. So we've gotten a cost from a company that does this. One of the companies we looked at as well is one that did College Street, where they ground off some of those places. So if we can grind them off, that's a quick and easy fix. Grind those things off, we'll go back so that they don't have to lip on it. If they're completely destroyed, we'll tear them out and replace them. So what we did is we just real quickly, so everybody can see those streets that we were looking at. They're highlighted in yellow on your map, and then we also did those two areas right there by the hospital as well, because there's a lot of traffic on those roads. So this is phase one. We expect this cost to be somewhere around $150,000 worth of improvements. Of course, one thing that we're concerned about, if y'all notice, is the cost of material and labor is very fluctuating right now. So what we got a cost 30 days ago for 150, we'll put together a plan to quantify line items and quantities so that we can bid a project that we can afford, and then we'll maximize up to whatever budget that we'd like to. But this is what the project we're looking at right now. And
we think this will take care of a majority of our problem areas in town.
Well, this is definitely, you can see that both sides of the road, there's a lot of issues there with those two existing sidewalks. We're also looking at potential for grants for new sidewalks in the city. So this is just phase one. There's more to come, but this is just one that we'd like to go ahead and get taken care of if it's okay with the council.
Yeah, well, like I said, we've already kind of said this is a stated goal. I know it is of Eugene's.
Yes. Yeah. We've had a couple of senior citizens in our neighborhood to actually trip and fall and injure themselves seriously.
Yes.
And so I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Barry.
Yes, sir.
So that is the last agenda item. Then we'll go into mayor's reports, council members' comments. So after we adjourn the council meeting, we will roll immediately into a brief E911 board meeting, which the council is the 911 board. You'll see at the bottom of our work session agenda, at the end of this work session, we're going to recess this work session. We'll reconvene in work session after the 911 board meeting to go into executive session, because Rayner's got to leave here in a minute. He's going to come back we're addressing a real estate item. Is that right, Rayner? So how long will that take, you think?
15 minutes.
Yeah, so hang around 15 minutes or so after the E911 board meeting. So that's our agenda for tonight. So any questions, any additions needed? All right, so we will go on to our next agenda, work session agenda item. Jonathan is going to give us an update on our bond issues and our projects.
So the Series A bond had closed, locked in at 2% interest. That money hit our city account today to the tune of approximately $21 million. The additional, debt that we had from bank loans for real estate and other items that were outstanding at Riverbank and Troy Bank and Trust was also paid off. So those have been taken off our books. We're moving forward with the Series C. We did the validation hearing on the 11th of May, and subsequently the 27th will be the date that we would go to market closely to figure out, what we can do. I think the number we discussed was somewhere around on debt service, $9.7 million with the council several months ago. Right now, if rates hold, we'll come in somewhere around $9.3, $9.4 million. Currently today, we're at about $9.2 million in debt service. So, realistically speaking, we're talking about a couple $100,000 increase in your annual debt service, and then extending that payment out from 14 years to 20. So, still not going to impact our credit rating. That Series C money would look at about $35 million. That would be through the 772. So we're talking your aquatics, sportsplex, soccer, whatever it is that does like sports tourism, veterans home, those kind of projects would be in that bucket. Of course, you're not obligated to go to 35 million. That's kind of the magic number that we set as the ceiling. So, but that's the number we budgeted for in all the projects. And I think I sent you an email on Friday with kind of a rough schedule of how those funds would be expended should you, itemize and approve those projects.
So the proceeds we've already got was 21 million.
Correct.
What are we expecting out of the next round? 35 in addition to that.
Correct.
So about 56 total.
56 total.
Yep. Okay. All right. Any we're going to talk about any specific projects other than the sidewalk tonight, or
sidewalk and the parking area.
Yeah.
Those would be the first expenditures. So the Series A money, GO money, general obligation debt, we can use that for anything. What we can't do is cross Series C money because of the validation hearing into projects that would pertain to Series A. So
those will primarily be used for the economic development, sports, which is VA home, sports tourism.
Correct. Or any other projects, as long as they meet the intent of 772 in the validation hearing.
Gotcha. Any questions on that?
No. Thank you.
Thank you all for your work on that. Excited to get those projects underway. All right, Greg, this is something you and I have had a few brief conversations on. I know it's something you've requested that we add to a future agenda. Talking about food trucks and the need to bring the city's ordinance. I guess that would be zoning. Would that be our zoning ordinance, and that would need to be updated? Okay. Okay.
They've also done some research. So Leanne Schwartz and Tracy Brown have done research on current ordinance for the city where our food trucks would currently classify and operate under, as well as other cities throughout the state that have different ordinances, that they're implementing. Yeah. And kind of talk to you about what those are. So kind of just give you facts and let you ask some questions.
So before they come forward, Greg, why don't you brief the others of what conversations you and I have had, or conversations you've had out in the community with business owners?
So I've had a number of business owners during the time I was campaigning for this position, as well as since, bring to my attention that they have wanted to operate a food truck within the city limits of Enterprise, but because of our current ordinance, they're stuck to one location and not able to move around. And other cities that allow them to move around, most of those food trucks will have a route. They'll set up maybe on Monday in this location, Tuesday in that location, Wednesday in this location, and it makes it feasible for them to be able to actually operate that food truck the way that they want to do so. And because of the way that our ordinance is written, which just looks to me like it was written before food trucks was a thing, it just doesn't lend itself to the food truck concept. So they're unable to do, and so other cities have a thriving food truck. I've been to other cities that have it. It's really a unique thing to be able to have all these different food trucks around. And so I know of 4 people specifically that have come to me recently wanting to open up a food truck in the area, and some of them have gone ahead and done it in neighboring cities since they weren't able to do it in Enterprise, but would love to move their operations to Enterprise if we would make a change in ordinance to allow that to happen.
All right, Tracy, Leanne.
Good evening, council.
Good evening.
I put information in your packets about what we have and as far as the application process for business licenses for food trucks. And the first is the application process. And once you have applied and acquired like a mobile food vendor business license, that allows you to set up at private parties, allows you to set up at special events without any further inspections from fire chief. Before we issue any business license within the city, it does have to have zoning clearance, and it does have to have fire chief's approval as well, because you're dealing with food and cooking. We want to know, what is your cooking method as well. And Chief has been really good at working with us on that. So once you get inspected for your initial location, you no longer have to be inspected again for that particular location. So that saves time for other departments and the manpower needed to do that process. Also, too, we do allow one physical change in the existing ordinance right now per year without having to reapply for another business license. And there's also a transient dealer verbiage in there as well. That's also included in your packet. The cities we found that do have food truck ordinances is Birmingham, Hoover, and Huntsville. To kind of sum it up, what we found in our research that we found is some of the cities have like designated areas, and so you're licensed to set up at those designated areas. The fees range anywhere from $40 up to $500+. And some of the cities require insurance policies for bodily injury for one person and property damage as well. We found other cities, you set up more than 2 hours, you have to have facilities for toilets for male and female set there. But you can only set up, if it's more than 2 hours, you have to have that facilities and then remove it at your cost. And then what we found consistent is that no loud music. You must clean up your trash. You must have receptacles there for your trash. So it's flexible in some way, but there's still some type of control. And what I have talked to Leanne about in great detail is to show that we are, food truck friendly. I love the idea of having like a designated area that's set up like some of the cities do instead of moving from roaming, because what that does is we don't know your location for that particular time. It's going to be difficult for like emergency services as well. So we have to keep that in mind as well. But everything has to go through zoning and through and fire chief as well for safety measures. But I'm all on board for it. We just have to put something in place to get it done.
So, and you and I communicated briefly about what turned out to be an unrelated situation.
Yes, sir.
This is not applied to like a catering event where if I hire a food truck to come to my private property and they're not selling to the general public, I mean, that's a traditional catering. So there's absolutely no prohibition on that type of activity. But when the distinction is when they are open for business to sell to the general public where anybody can walk up. So that's the distinction between a catering operation
Yes,
and
sir.
a food truck operator. And then, you know, best I can see is you've got two different situations. If you're a food truck, you're either setting up on public property
Mhm.
or you're setting up on somebody's private property.
Correct.
So you've got to address both of those.
Absolutely.
So what's the city gonna do? Are we gonna allow them just to pull on the city property and set up a food truck in the city hall parking lot downtown? You know, and then what are we gonna do when somebody wants to pull into my business and set up a food truck?
Right.
So those are two different situations,
Correct.
right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So, Jonathan, you got any input on how we want to proceed here?
I think just wanted to hear from the council about what direction you'd like the staff to work in, and we'll accommodate, come up with different courses of action for you to evaluate and consider. So
Okay.
I mean, we just need to know what direction you want to go. We're not policymakers, so.
Scotty, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, it's kind of, I didn't realize you guys were talking about it because I had sent Tracy a while back and I was just going through it, and I probably should have sent it to y'all too, of several cities with the same thing on food trucks. I've had people approach me, and it's something that we're missing out on. If we're going to keep progressing, we've got to have this. And I agree with Greg. They've got to be able to move from location to location and not make it hard on those food truck people. And a yearly license, not have to pay a license every time they move, which we would. Yeah. So I'm all for it. Let's just do it and move forward on it.
Eugene?
I'm all for it too. The only thing I was listening to, you were talking about a designated area. Now, the food trucks may want to be in a particular place, not in one particular designated area. Is there a problem with that?
No, sir. You just have to get permission from the property owner. They have to provide that to us to make sure no one's trespassing on private property. So whatever is part of your policy, we would definitely, accommodate it.
So then you saw something where it stated in some of those I sent you where they got to get a business permission if like a restaurant or something to be operating within 300 feet or 500 feet. We need to watch that, how we
Right.
designate something like
We
that.
saw some of that. No more. Some was 50 feet within
Yeah.
the front entrance of a restaurant during their normal operation hours. They had limited hours, like from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. So it depends. But I have all those ordinances pulled. If you guys would like a copy of that, we can just email them to everyone.
So I do have a question on that. You're talking about a business. If a business wanted someone to set up in there, and you said provide information to you guys for that. So are you saying that these other cities require every single time they move that they have to notify revenue department of where they're going to be that day?
Well, it's different because some cities that I found you have to select up to 3 locations, and some and you choose your first choice. And in some of the cities they have that designated areas and they have a rotational type cycle. So if they wanted to move in that area, you can stay in that area for like 8 hours. But once again, that crosses the line of what does fire chief need to do to make sure that they haven't changed their exhaust or whatever. So he needs to be informed of that as well.
So I know some cities actually have a city-owned area
Right.
that food
That's what I
trucks
was saying,
can go
designated.
to, and so
Yeah, food truck park.
Right.
right.
Mhm.
So then that would be obviously if we were to set something up like that, that would be one
Absolutely.
thing.
Mhm.
But I was also thinking about just for instance, I know over the last year, the hospital has invited food trucks to come set up. I don't know how that's been working. Or they had to get a business license every single time those food trucks went to set up at the hospital? Or?
I've spoken to Lisa Fenner, and generally she hires someone who already has an existing license with us. For example, special event, we have a special event license that they purchase, and it's $20 for one event once a year, or $50 for a year. And what happens is they go to that area, that $50 covers them to set up strictly for special events. So that would be considered a special event or on private property. So they notify us, they let us know, as I said, once fire chief has inspected it, we're done.
Scotty, thinking about our Lions Club and our little snack trailer, is that considered a food truck?
I was just gonna ask that. I'm sitting here thinking.
Nonprofits.
Nonprofits comes under that, right? So.
The only thing
yeah.
that we require is to keep a database.
Right.
Because we didn't used to issue nonprofit license, but sometimes they need to go to market and need that business license.
Yeah.
So we created a way to do that. So the only thing we do is make sure you have fire chief involved and
Right.
make sure, but there's no cost for nonprofits whatsoever.
In the public, yeah, they do that.
What about an ice cream truck?
Ice cream trucks are different because there's no cooking involved. It's self-contained freezer. So they're a little bit different.
Gotcha.
How about food carts?
They fall in the same line as the food
Food
trucks.
truck.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so
And
when we
push
write
carts-
this, food trucks, food carts,
push
because I
carts.
saw that,
They're
push carts, because I
carts.
saw that a
They've
lot.
got
Because they
warm
have
food.
trucks,
The hot
they have
dog.
food trailers.
Yeah.
They're totally different, and then push carts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that was in all those.
Yes, sir.
I'm just gonna say, however this ends up, I'd like to make it just as simple and as easy for
I like
someone to be able to
simple.
do that.
Yeah, and
Don't
you
end
know,
up having jumping through
Yeah.
Make it friendly.
crazy
Yeah,
hoops.
there you go.
We can
we got a
avoid that.
balance, yeah, but there is a balance there. I mean, obviously, you bring in good points about trash, about nuisance to
Mhm.
neighbors. You just don't want them pulling up downtown and playing
Yeah.
loud. Just
Sure.
there's a balance, but you're right. We need to be business friendly. We just don't need rules for the sake of rules. And I think we're all on the same page there.
And even rules is not so much an issue; it's just the process just needs to be easy to understand
Right.
and easy to follow.
And all on our website where they can go click and point and pay and do everything else to make it easy, right?
We're working on it.
I know you are.
But
Thanks.
Jonathan has me on a big
I know,
project
Leanne.
right now, so I gotta,
And we appreciate
all my
that.
attention's there.
It's going to be great.
Chief Aaron, did you have some input?
Thank you, Tracy.
I guess excuse me, I can't hardly talk. Maybe y'all can hear me okay? On the food truck issue, I don't have a problem with hearing what you guys are saying right now, as long as they're very well regulated. With all due respect, I've had some food trucks that come in here and would operate in our city, didn't even need to be operating in the back 40 guys, okay? And if we go and inspect them once a year, food trucks are like your cooking equipment at home. Okay, I did real good last Saturday. This right here, this appliance was designed under this hood system to take care of this deep fat fryer and this. But I can set this other thing over here, and I can make more money. It's got to be understood that we're going to be spot checking them if they do, by all means. And I like what y'all are saying there. If you're going to do this with the food trucks, is make sure they got designated areas that they cannot go in front of your business, pull up there 30 minutes and go front in front of Walmart 30 minutes, and then go down the street somewhere else 30 more minutes.
Well,
As
that
long as-
said, I'm involved in nonprofit with a food
Right.
truck that we set up for about 8 days.
Right.
We're permitted for that 8 days, but we still get spot checked
Yeah.
multiple times in that 8
Sure.
days. So that's not. I don't have an issue with that.
Just don't let them get, and I don't think you guys will. Don't let them come in here where they're riding around and they want to, like I say, go in front of your business for 30 minutes and then pull up. It's not a good day here, and then go down here somewhere else and start doing all that. So
Yeah.
it's hard to do that. But and I kid you not. Some of these people, we had to watch them pretty close. To be honest with you, you don't want a food truck riding around in a circle with 30 gallons of boiling grease in the back of it.
Mm.
That wouldn't be a good signal light to roll up onto if you want to move the truck.
Right.
Sure it would. But
Yeah.
anyway, that, as you all know, I'm fixing to be leaving, but anyway, I can help up until then, we'll be glad to do it. We will stay on top of it. And if you're going to do this, I like the way you're talking on it, still, it'll be designated to a certain area. Like you're talking one day in Jury Business today and
Yeah.
Lowe's tomorrow and Walmart the next day, as long as they're not going wherever they want to and just stop it.
Well, I think any ordinance we pass or update needs to be vetted by the fire department, police department, engineering, probably public works. Everybody needs to
Safety has to be first.
just make sure we don't have any blind spots. and not
Safety
get
first,
ourselves-
what you're saying. Okay? That's all I got to say.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Chief.
Mhm.
Anything else on food trucks? Greg, you want to kind of take the lead on that?
Sure.
You need
At
help,
least
let me
just
know.
liaison with staff. Jonathan, y'all have anything else on food trucks? All right, so next item is interim fire chief. So, like we spoke about earlier, we've got a resolution night to name Christopher Davis as the interim and acting fire chief effective at the point of Chief Herring's retirement. Jonathan, you got some recommendations, I think.
Well, just in talking to Chief Herring and Mayor Cooper regarding this, that was Chief Herring's recommendation in terms of who should be the interim chief. Mayor Cooper concurred with that recommendation, and so that's we put it on the agenda for your consideration tonight in hopes that we wouldn't have a blind spot, in the chain of command.
Yeah.
And then subsequently hope to go to advertisement just like we did with the police chief and put it out on the street.
Yeah. So I agree with Jonathan. I think we need to use our police chief search as the template for the fire chief. I think that went well. The only thing I would change is not have the long lag time. Of course, we had elections, new council, all that. So if everybody's okay, I think we need to give Jonathan, Mayor, and Christina the thumbs up to go ahead and advertise for that position and proceed with that. All right, so that is all we have in our work session before the meeting. Like I said, we will recess the work session. We will not adjourn the work session. We'll reconvene after the E911 board meeting, unless we do have 15 minutes or so if somebody has anything else that they want to discuss.
Just say that there may be a vote after that executive session, and wish.
Okay, so in that case, then we need to keep the council meeting open then. So we'll adjourn our work session and we'll just recess the council meeting, have the E911 board meeting. Well, in that case, why don't we you're going to be back, right, Rainer? You're back right now. So I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Second.
All right, all in favor of going into executive session for the purpose of discussing real estate negotiations, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, we will be back around 6 o'clock for our regular council meeting. council work session is adjourned. I've got 6 o'clock, so we'll move right into the meeting of the Enterprise City Council. Let the record show that all members are present except for Councilwoman Rich, who is under the weather. She apologized for not being here. If everyone would stand for the prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. We've got Chris Thomas from First Presbyterian Church. Right here, please.
Pray together. Our most kind and gracious Father, we honor you tonight, the blessed and only sovereign, and the King of kings and the Lord of lords. We ask your blessings now upon our city. We ask your blessings upon our city council. O Lord, that our leaders would lead in the fear of God, Lord, that they would lead with bended knees before your will. Lord, that they would lead with kindness, love, and with concern for the people they lead. Lord, that our city, Lord, that this place where you have planted us, Lord, that we would live for nothing more and nothing less than the glory and the honor of the one who created us. We ask all this in the strong and mighty name of Jesus our Savior.
Amen. Please join me in pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. All right, council, you have in your packets the agenda that we discussed in the work session. I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as submitted with the addition of the consideration of an Alabama Power easement over Hall Street as the last item in new business.
So moved.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we will now consider the consent agenda. All matters listed within the consent agenda have been distributed to each member of the council for review, are considered to be routine, and will be enacted by one motion of the city council with no separate discussion. If separate discussion is desired on an item, that item may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda by request of a member of the city council. I will now call for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Mayor Cooper, you're going to recognize some beauty queens.
The hand that rocks the cradle rules the world.
Yeah.
Mr. President and fellow councilmen, we have with us tonight our newly appointed queens from the city of Enterprise. And of course, it is our duty every year to recognize them as well as give them a lapel pin that they will wear as they represent our city. But to be here in the Peanut Festival or whatever parade that they might attend. So we're going to start with first this Enterprise, Olivia Hall.
You must smile, see your face, and hopefully I will bend you correctly. And not take it.
Okay, next is Team Miss Enterprise, Eleanor Holden. All right, Junior Miss Ashley Owens.
I'm sorry. Grabbing your hair. It's almost as bad as a corsage. There you go, Miss Ashley. Would you stand by Mary a little bit? Excellent. All right.
Next is Petite Miss Enterprise Mary Catherine Marshall.
Nice turn there. I can see that dance in you very much. All right, I'm gonna turn you right to you. Just a little. Thank you very much. I'm gonna get a little closer. Here we go. Away from the skin there. Great place. Why I almost pin you here. Hang on, that's what we're done with this. Just like dance, if you drop a shape with it. Here we go. All right, by the mayor again.
Next is Little Miss Enterprise Kate.
Okay, I'm gonna try not to hurt you now. Look at this kid. Okay, all set. And stand by the mayor.
Next is future Little Miss Enterprise, Finley and Humble.
I think got your curl in there. I'm so sorry. Not pretty here. These are so official. It takes time. There you go, by the mayor.
So now we're gonna take a picture of all of them
Yes,
together.
sir. Yes, ladies, come on. Mayor, I put you in the middle, and ladies, you want to go around? Yeah, right along with them. Can I put my arm around you?
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
All right, Mayor, now you've got a presentation of some extra mile awards.
Okay, I'm gonna ask Sergeant Robert Holland to come up. And I'll ask Chief Horn to also come up with me. How you do, sir? Doing good, yes, sir. To the council, this is the extra award for Sergeant Robert Holland. In April of this year, Sergeant Bob Holland was patrolling on the Boweeva Circle and saw a man struggling to change a tire on a young lady's car. He pulled over and asked if he could help. Sergeant Holland was able to remove the flat tire, but didn't stop there. He retrieved the spare tire out of the trunk, put it on the car, and put the flat tire in the trunk for them. He made sure the tire was secure before the car drove away. Sergeant Holland, the resident, called me and expressed his appreciation for what you had done for him. I could hear his voice, his gratitude, and I have no doubt that you went above and beyond your duties. Several other vehicles passed by and did not stop you. And your willingness to stop and help was greatly appreciated. Sergeant Holland, the city council, and I commend you on your outstanding abilities and remarkable attention that you gave to our citizens and your willingness to go out of your way to help them. We are proud to have such outstanding individuals representing our Enterprise Police Department. On behalf of the mayor of the city council, we have this award, and it says, the mayor of the city council of the city of Enterprise for going above beyond your job duties in assisting of the citizens of Enterprise, Alabama. Icamoa Chief of Police, William E. Cooper, Mayor, May 18, 2021. Sergeant Holland, thank you for the job that you're doing and what you have done. May God's richest blessings be upon you and your family. Thank you.
So let me brag on him real quick. Get a picture first. I explained to people when I was open offices, we show up, which they did, to support the two that get the extra mile awards. Sergeant Harlan's been with me since the beginning of my career. We started in Delaware together. I came over here first, and then he followed me. I made a comment to him. I made a comment to the mayor about, sir, we change tires all the days. He taught me in Delaware, that's what we do. We change tires for people. It wasn't, I don't think, to this gentleman that he changed the tire. It was the fact that Sergeant Harlan was so adamant about, no, sir, let me do it for you. Let me do it for you. He checked everything, made sure the tire was correct, made sure everything was put back. Didn't go down the road and the tire slip or something in the back seat, back in the trunk. So it was the care that he went through that I'm sure I'm glad he got this extra mile award, and I appreciate it. Yep.
Next, council, the extra mile award for Officer David Hall. In April of this year, Officer David Hall noticed a disabled vehicle with a resident and two children on Dolphin Street Extension. He stopped and the resident was in distress trying to get her kids to school and being late from work. After assessing the situation, Officer Hall came up with a game plan. He walked the 7th grader to school carrying her backpack and rather large science project. He returned and took the kindergarten student to Holly Hill Elementary School. Once he knew the kids were safe and at school, he returned to the citizen and stayed with her until her ride arrived. Her husband arrived a few minutes later, and Officer Hall stopped again to see if he could help the found family member of the family. David, you have no idea how your actions made this bad situation easier. The resident was panicking and the children were upset because it was a very important day for them in school. You ensured one to make sure that they got to school, and also the science project was also intact. So again, the other one had a track meet while making the children feel safe, comfortable, and come proud to their big day. Officer Hall, the city council, and I commend you on your outstanding abilities and remarkable attention that you give to our citizens and your willingness to go out of your way to help them. We are proud to have such outstanding individuals representing our Enterprise Police Department. On behalf of the City Council, Mayor, Officer David Hall, the Mayor, the City Council, City of Enterprise, for you going above and beyond your job duties to assist the citizens of Enterprise. Michael Moore, Chief of Police, William E. Cooper, Mayor, May 18, 2021.
Again, another great officer came from us from Montgomery.
any other better way for him to come with us. It's for 3 years now, and just does this type of stuff all the time. I get complaints. I get
Compliments.
accolades from him. This isn't the first time he's been brought up for extra stuff that he's done, and I actually knew the family that you helped, and I was out of town, and they called me, and I said, I can't help you. Never mind, an officer's here. I said, great. So, great job. I sure do appreciate it.
Just want to say to the council as well as the audience here that we have some of the finest men and women in blue. And of course, the job that they do, money will not pay for what they are doing in front of our city. So again, Chief Moore and your staff, good luck and God bless all of you.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I know I speak for the council. We never need to pass up an opportunity to thank our first responders, police, fire, everybody who puts their life on the line for us. So thank you very much. Much deserved. All right, now as we're moving on in our agenda to consider a permit street closure request from the Chamber of Commerce 2021 Christmas Parade. This was discussed in our work session prior and actually multiple work sessions before that. But this is actually an amended request. So I will now introduce a request on behalf of Aaron Grantham of the Enterprise Chamber of Commerce to hold the 2021 Christmas Parade on Tuesday, November 30th, 2021 from 5:30 p.m. until 8:30 p.m. with a rain date of Thursday, December 2nd, 2021. The parade will begin at the corner of West Watt Street and North Main and end at the corner of East Harrison Street and Main Street. This is an amended request to retract the original approved request date of Friday, December 3rd, 2021. Aaron, I see you in the back. Did you have anything you wanted to say, or did I cover everything? All right, I will now.
I make a motion we approve the request.
I'll second it.
All right, is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, now is the time of the meeting for privilege of the floor. Anybody present here tonight can address the council for 3 minutes. Is there anyone here that wishes to address the council? Seeing none, we will move on to old business, of which we have none, so we'll move on to new business. I will introduce and call for consideration of Resolution 051821, providing to approve certain budget amendments to the fiscal year 2021 budget. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? We addressed this in the work session previous. This is primarily to incorporate all expenses that we've approved and new revenues that we've approved and collected since the fiscal year began. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now review and consider Resolution 051821-A, the 2021 Cdbg application. I introduce and call for consideration of Resolution 051821-A, providing for the authorization of Ewing, Cotter and Associates Incorporated to proceed with the preparation of the city's 2021 Community Development Block Grant, CDBG grant application for funding assistance associated with the proposed demolition and clearance of abandoned, vacant, public nuisance properties. Resolution 051821-A further authorizes the mayor to execute a contractual agreement with Ewing, Cotter and Associates Incorporated for the provision of program management and administrative services should funding approval be forthcoming. I'll entertain a motion to approve this request.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I will now introduce and call for consideration of Resolution 051821-B regarding a lease between the City of Enterprise and Cotter Properties, LLC, related to the lot behind the old Yancey Parker building. The lot is to be improved by the city and used for parking and city-sponsored events. The landlord is charging no rent. The lease includes buyout provisions that the landlord would pay funds to help defray city improvement costs, which are expended if the landlord terminates the lease, all according to the lease. Council, we discussed this in the work session prior, so I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll review and consider Resolution 051821-C. I will introduce and call for consideration of Resolution 051821-C, providing for the appointment of Christopher Davis as acting interim fire chief effective May 29th, 2021. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to appoint Captain Christopher Davis as the acting/interim fire chief effective May 29th, 2021.
Second the motion.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, as discussed, this is to fill the slot that's being vacated by longtime serving Fire Chief Herring, so certainly going to miss him. I know all of y'all have been invited to a reception for that, but so Christopher Davis comes to us as his recommendation. So is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I will now call for a motion to authorize the mayor to execute a memorandum of agreement between the City of Enterprise and Main Street, Alabama for city's participation in the Main Street program. The term of the agreement is for 1 year, beginning June 1st, 2021, and ending on May 31st, 2022. This is the continuation of a program that we've been in for a few years. As discussed earlier, it's just re-upping the same agreement. So I'll entertain a motion to
Make a motion, we approve the agreement.
Is there a second? Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I will now introduce and call for consideration of requests from Barry Mott, Public Works Director, City Engineer, to seek bids for the repair and refurbishment of various sidewalks located throughout the city. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to grant Barry's request to seek bids to repair and refurbish sidewalks. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we now have our addition to the agenda, which is the consideration of an Alabama Power easement requested related to Hall Street. So, as discussed in the work session and executive session, you should have before you a proposed easement for Alabama Power to service a cell tower, which will be near Hall Street. You have that easement and the drawing in your packet. Do I hear a motion to grant the mayor permission to execute this easement?
So moved.
Second.
Is there a second? All right, I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All right, as we discussed earlier, this is pretty much a formality so that they can get this cell tower installed. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, that concludes the business portion of our meeting. Mayor, you have a report for us?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just like to say, good season Eddie. I know how to get her out of the council meeting now. Like a granddaughter, yeah, and my daughter, and all of the queens. Really, thank you for coming out tonight and the event and whatnot. We know we're going to see you at different ribbon cuttings and sprays and etc. So you have your job cut out for you. Also want to mention that graduation exercise from Enterprise High School will be May the 27th at 9 a.m. at Wildcat Stadium. Anyway, the SARS they call the course, you know, about parking, so that a large number of students graduating, so this is really something to be seen, and the stadium is ready. Also, I want to thank the council for the work that you're doing. We got a lot done here tonight, and we're moving forward as the city of Progress moves along. Again, as I said before, that it's a long time coming, but it's already here. Again, and our department heads and city workers, we also want to thank you for the job that you do, our policemen, our firemen, all that helps to make up our city force. Thank you for the job well done.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilman Goolsby?
I'd like to thank all the beauty queens for coming tonight and wish you a great prosperous year representing the city. Thank you so much. I would like to thank our police officers who received the Extra Mile Award, plus all of our police officers and all of our city department heads, city employees. Thank you all very much for the job you do.
Greg?
Also like to thank the Beauty Queens and family for coming out tonight and congratulate those that received the Extra Mile Award from the police department and kind of reiterate, I guess, thank you to all the department heads that work so hard and the city employees because this council is throwing a lot of projects at you right now. And it's an exciting time to be part of it, and I'm very excited about the future of Enterprise and the things that we have coming really soon.
Yeah, and I'll jump right on that too, Greg. It's great to work with this council and the things we're doing for the city, but I'd like to thank our beauty queens. I've already seen you a couple times at events. I look forward to being out there with those ribbon cuttings. And I think we have the prettiest queens in all of the state of Alabama. And thank you, parents, for having them out there. And our city workers, great, awesome. I see you out there every day, and thank you so very much. And to our fire department, police department, our EMS, we have the best in Alabama. I love working with all of you. And thank you for everybody coming out, and thank you for those that are online watching us this evening. Have a great night.
Yeah, ditto what everybody said. Congratulations to Beauty Queens and police officers, certainly much deserved. I too am very excited to get some of these projects underway. Thanks to the mayor and Mr. Tullos for spearheading these projects. I know Eugene's excited about these sidewalks and get some other things. And certainly I think we'd be remiss if we didn't thank the Cotter family for partnering with us on this on this parking lot project. I think that's something our downtown merchants and our residents will be excited to see. So I'm sure I'm leaving something out, but we'll adjourn the meeting and we will reconvene immediately in an E911 board meeting. So anybody who wants to stay is welcome to stay. If not, I'll give everybody a couple minutes if they want to get up.